now entering Nick and Melo's hyperspace.
Hello, I'm Carmelo, and I think 2023 is the year of Ahsoka.
And I'm Nick, and I think my biggest moment of 2023 is meeting Vanessa Marshall. She was a delightful
Oh,
person.
fun. In our journey through hyperspace, we examine everything and anything Star Wars from the point of view of two lifelong fans, one young, one old, who came together through the will of the Force.
And in this episode, we are going to take a look back at 2023 because by the time you're listening to this, it is going to be the new year. So happy new year to all that listening. I appreciate you guys for sticking with us for another year. Carmela and I wanted to do a fun episode of where we look back at all the awesome stories we got, pick our favorites when it comes to TV, books, comics, and then maybe we talk a little bit about at the end what we are hoping for next year and kind of some of the stuff we're excited about for next year. So
Yes.
we're going to
Absolutely.
kind of do this in categories as best we can. We kind of stealing from our friends at the Star Wars Book Community Podcast,
Which we
uh,
love.
which we love those guys. They're really awesome. We stole their idea. They had they have a poll going on voting for the best book, comic, and of the year. So I thought, what we should do that, and we just gloat about our favorite things.
Absolutely. And we're really talking about 2023. So we'll talk about things that were released this year, but we're also going to talk a little bit about things that we did or that we read this year that did not come out this year. Because
Yes.
we're constantly catching up with the hundreds of Star Wars things.
Right.
And so we're also going to be adding a few things that might not be new, but were new to us.
Yeah.
New to us this year.
Well, there's only so many hours in the day, so we had to play catch up, huh?
We have jobs.
That's right.
Nick is doing graduate school. I have a book contract.
Yeah, I didn't leave a lot of time for extra Star Wars material.
There's a lot going on. So you want to start with best adult hardcover?
Yeah, we'll start there. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go.
Okay. So I think for mine, we did an episode
Drum roll.
on it. We did a whole episode on it, and it was really the book that spoke to me the most this year. And I just one that I thoroughly enjoyed from start to finish. So I'm going to have to say Rise of the Red Blade. This was a fantastic read. If you're really into Order 66 and the Jedi, the prequels, and learning about the Inquisitors, this book is for you. It has great character work, really emotional for a character we barely know. And
Yes.
it really stands on its own. You really don't need to read any other Star Wars books to really get the story. It's just kind of a great read. A lot. It was probably my biggest surprise of the year, honestly, I will say.
I'm choosing the same one. This was a revelation for me. It was really fascinating for me to read a novel about somebody willingly entering the Inquisitorium, and the whole trajectory of a Jedi, in a way, being ostracized and alienated by the Jedi Order itself was a fascinating thing that we have barely had in Star Wars, anything, Star Wars fiction, Star Wars television. So it was just really wonderful. And Delilah Dawson is an amazing writer.
It's awesome.
It read so, I mean, it just felt effortlessly, and it was a beautiful read, great characterization, very spooky at times, very dark, very dark.
Oh yeah.
To me, it's the book of the year.
I remember when it was announced, I thought that could be interesting. I don't know if I'll read it immediately, but I got it on my Kindle and I heard good things about it. So I thought, let me just go ahead and start it. And then I didn't really put it down. So
No, me neither.
I just kept reading it. And I bought it, like I said, on my Kindle, but I loved it so much at Dragon Con, I bought a signed copy. That's what this is here. So that's how much I love the book. I wanted to meet Delilah Dawson myself. I didn't get a chance to, but that was just an incredible read. I never really fell in love with a character that I really knew so little about like that. It is a tragedy, but it's a beautifully written tragedy. I will say that.
And I had already read the comics that sort of showed the ending of the story. So that's all I knew of the character. But in the Darth Vader series, it was,
she was a
very small character.
Yeah.
And so it was just wonderful to get this amazing trajectory. Should we move to young adult?
Sure. Yeah.
Should I start first since
Sure, go ahead.
started first? Path of Vengeance, High Republic. We are in the second phase of the High Republic novels. I've read this book 3 times, and it came
Oh,
out this year.
holy cow!
I read it
You
twice with the book, and then I read it as an audiobook.
you love that book.
I adored this book.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of young adult. I've always been a fan of how deceiving the title young adult feels to people that don't read young adult. And this was a beautiful example of the complexity and the emotional punch
Hmm.
that young adult novels can have. And it was a great conclusion to the story in the young adult series of Phase 2. And I thought Kevin Scott did a great job. I mean, it just from the moment it started, I was hooked. And it's not, as you can see if you're watching the video, this is not a short book.
No, like 500 pages, right?
It's something. It's
Yeah,
huge.
it's massive. It was
517 pages.
that's incredible. Yeah, no, it was good. It didn't feel like 517 to me.
No, no.
It was such a good read, and it flowed so nicely.
And there are all of these sort of like, I call them soap opera moments when you go, oh my God.
And it was her sister all along. Yeah,
It was such a treat. It was just such a treat.
I'm gonna choose the same thing, Path of Vengeance.
All right.
We're 2 for 2 so far. I didn't get my copy because I knew you had that copy, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it tied up phase 2 really nicely and set the stage for the next phase. It really answered not pressing questions, but it gave us a lot of insight into what motivates the Rowe family and kind of
Yes.
what
Yes.
the Jedi dealt with and kind of how that mistakes of the past Jedi are now coming up in the next phase, or they're affecting them. And just great character work. Like everybody in that book was shining. And I really love the author, Kevin Scott. He kind of tied in his comic characters really nicely, and they played a big role into the
Yes.
novel. And
Yes.
the way I read it is, I feel like you didn't really need to read the comics to kind of introduce those characters, but if you did read the comics, you were really rewarded for that.
One of the things that I enjoyed the most about Phase 2 was how often the comics and the fiction connected. I really appreciated that. And as you say, Nick, it's not like you need to read the comics, but it's sort of an added layer when you know the comic story and you see those characters show up, crossing over to fiction. And so
It was nice.
that was just delightful. I wanted to do an honorable mention on the Tales of Light and Life, the
Okay, yeah.
fiction collection, because that was a close second for me. I was surprised how much I enjoyed all of the stories.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really lovely collection, and it was fun to have short stories as a bridge
To the
between
next.
Phase 2 and Phase 3.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have anything like that in between Phase 1 and Phase 2, and so I wanted to sort of an honorable mention, as they say,
Yeah.
For that book, because I thought that was quite nice.
I'm glad you mentioned honorable mentions because I have one that I was really close to picking, but I didn't. I Have Darkness was really fun.
Oh,
Really
yes.
love this one. I thought this was a great way to start off the next phase.
Mhm.
I think I enjoyed Path of Vengeance a little bit more just because there's a finality to it. I feel like this book did a lot of the legwork to set up future stories, which that's completely okay with me. I'm going to read those stories one day, but I really enjoyed it. There's just a lot of nice kind of seeing those connections from phase 2 pop up, and
I agree.
seeing characters from phase 2 that we met. They're playing a big role now in phase 3, and I Had Darkness is a little appetizer for what's to come. I hope because it was really good.
I read it. I probably read it too quickly because I was so excited about it.
Yeah,
But I want to read it again, maybe as an audiobook, before the 2 other novels come out in 2024. But I agree with you. It was a really fun read.
it was.
Really fun read. If you know your 3 act structure from film screenwriting,
That's in there.
it is the beginning of Act 3. All right. Moving on to comics.
Yeah, my bread and butter.
Well, since it's your bread and butter, why don't you start? Let's move on to ongoing comic series in 2023.
Yeah.
And since you're the comics man, why don't you start?
Okay. So for me, I think just a quick recap: the four main ongoing series we got are Darth Vader by Marvel, Star Wars by Marvel, um, Bounty Hunters also by Marvel, and then Doctor Aphra by Marvel. And for me, the one that I always kept looking forward to each month, and that just kept gravitating me towards the story, it's going to be Bounty Hunters. Um, I enjoy stories without force sensitive characters, and love
Uh-huh.
the underworld of Star Wars. I always think it's fascinating. But that one to me is just one that I kept looking forward to, and it is sadly wrapping up soon. So we're getting to the climax of the and that it's just been great. And I know they've had a lot of crossovers with events lately, but I just feel like Ethan Sachs has done a wonderful job of just continuously, even when the team changes a little bit, we still get invested in these characters. So hats off to him. I think that wins my comic series of the year ongoing.
Okay. Here we differ.
Oh,
To me, the Star Wars, the general Star Wars series that Charles Soule has been writing, that's the one that I have been really fascinated, and I have really loved the bridge with the path engines of the High Republic, and the no space and all of that. That has been just a
it's been
treat.
beautiful. Yeah,
I have really loved that. And it's been so much fun sort of getting characters from the sequel trilogy in it, and anything with Leia I will read avidly. So I'm gonna say the Charles Soule Star Wars series, the Marvel series. That's been the one that I have been sort of really looking forward. I even started buying like single issues because like I don't want to wait for the compilation. I want to
there
know
you go.
what happened next. So I have a few extra ones because I was just a little too impatient.
Let's see what's going on. Oh, that's awesome.
Which is a sign of how much I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed that one. It's been very fun as well. It was very close. It was between that or Bounty Hunters, but with Bounty Hunters is a lot more characters that I've not used to, characters that are different. So I think that's why it gave me the edge, which I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
love. I do love the original trilogy cast. Don't get me wrong, but we got a lot of stories of them, so
yeah. Of
getting
course,
to see new characters was fun.
of
But
course.
I enjoy Luke's journey on this last year, and look forward to see where it's going as we're getting closer and closer to Return of the Jedi.
Right, right, right.
We're very
Absolutely.
close.
Moving on to best comic miniseries.
Okay. I'll let
Um,
you
and
I'll let
I
you
will
start this one.
I will start, and I'm going to choose Sanastaros.
Okay.
I I was really surprised. I did not read this as individual issues. I waited until the compilation was out. And I just totally adored this.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the bridge of Justina Ireland sort of inserting African American culture into Star Wars culture. And I also adored the sort of matriarchy of the story with the grandmother and the mother and the daughter. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was
You
so much fun, and so that's the one I chose.
I remember you when it came out. I was reading it as it came out, and I really enjoyed it. I read it after it all was finished just to kind of refresh my memory on the whole thing, and it was very good. I liked it, and I remember you made a post maybe on Instagram or Facebook about how this is really one of the few Star Wars stories that's about actual family, blood family,
Yes,
compared to like found family, which
yes,
I enjoyed that kind of twist and turn on the head of
yes,
storytelling.
yes.
And that's a beautiful family. They're really great characters, and I've always liked Sana since her first appearance, and
Hmm.
I'm glad she got her own series because she's a great
Me
character.
too. Me too, because it's really nice when they go into characters that we know some, but we don't know a lot.
Mhm.
As we have said in other podcasts, enough Vader, please. There are
Please,
so many other fascinating characters that we would love to know more about. And this story really worked well as a comic series. I totally enjoyed it. All right, so your choice.
all right. It was tough because there was a lot of good miniseries. I feel like this year, but to me, it technically started in 2022, but it ended in 2023. So I'm going to count it. I'm going to go the Han Solo and Chewbacca series with the
Uh-huh.
beautiful art. Sorry for the glare there. The beautiful art by Alex Malev. Um, Absolutely love this series. We just mentioned how we always want new series, about new characters that we don't know a lot about. But as soon as that one was announced, I was like, I got to pick it up. I'm one of those Star Wars fans who complains about, we keep going back to the same characters, but then when they announce we're doing Han Solo and Chewbacca, guess who's the first one to get it? It's me. So I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, I could say, but
Well, I mean,
it's fun.
my favorite comic series in Star Wars ever is the Charles Soule Darth Vader. So it's not like I don't read Darth Vader.
That's true. That's
I
true.
just so I think you are totally allowed to adore a Han Solo and Chewbacca story.
That's fair. Like I've been mentioning this most of this episode, it's another story without Force users. That was a big thing for me this year. Stories without Force users really got to me. But this one's great. It's sets a little bit up of this big event that's been going on. The Dark Droids sets that up.
Right.
We get to see Han and Chewie before the rest of the crew meets them, and just to go on a fun adventure with Greedo, who I love Greedo, and I'll mention Greedo a little bit later. But yeah, it's just a fun story, and the art's beautiful. And I will say, Mark Guggenheim, the writer, he does a great job of making this Han Solo feel like Harrison Ford. Like
Oh, that's nice.
he has the quips. He's really smart ass, and it just feels like I'm reading Harrison Ford playing Han Solo again, and it's just really beautiful.
I have
Love it.
not read that series, so you might be my tipping point. I
It's
have them. I own them.
yeah,
But I
it's
haven't
great.
read them yet, so I'm looking forward to adding it to my already read collection.
It's great. I love it a
Cool.
lot.
Cool.
I do want to shout out one more comic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
technically. I'm only counting one issue, so this might be my favorite single issue of the year.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so another one that was really close to the Han Solo and Chewbacca was the Hyperspace Stories by Dark Horse. A lot of those were really great. It started in 2022, technically just ended, so we'll count that as a 2023 comic. But the
Yeah.
one that stuck out to me the most was the Hyperspace Stories #6 with little Greedo there.
Ah, with Greedo.
And again, it's just a background character we see that gets fleshed out and given way more meaning to. I forgot I was reading like a all ages comic when I was reading that comic. It was so fascinating. His story is also a tragedy, and I just fell in love with it immediately. You really could just, I know it's an issue 6 of 12, but you could just read that one on its own. You won't really need to know the rest. It's just a beautiful story. I've read it 3 times now. I just love that story.
From the hyperspace stories, my favorite one was the Bad Batch one.
Oh,
I adored that issue. There were issues that were better than others, but that one I was tickled. I was really tickled. I just found it really, really fun. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I also want to talk a little bit about things that I read that came out a long time ago. And my favorite of those in comics was the first Dr. Aphra series. I am fascinated with Aphra. And so it was really, really fun getting such a long story with the father and with 000 and all of those characters and getting more about Black Chrysanthemum. It was just so much fun. So much fun. That's my favorite comic series that I read this year that was not released this year. I've read
that's a
many
good
other
one.
things, but that one I really enjoyed. Really,
That's a
really
good one.
enjoyed. So I highly recommend that one.
I'll have to shout that one out too. Me and my wife read that together. We're still reading it together. We're in the process of finishing it, but we started it last month, and it's been a really fascinating series. I've always heard the hype around Dr. Aphra. I just never, for whatever reason, never picked up her comics, and then I just decided I'm going to start reading them. And man, I feel like I've been missing out. I wish I
She's
would have started
great.
sooner. She's
She's great.
hilarious.
She's great.
She's a lot of fun. Ball of energy. That woman.
Oh, to me, she's like the Latina Star Wars hero. I
Yeah,
just love her. She's like I just love her. She's so much fun, and it's really nice to have an openly lesbian character.
yeah. I enjoy
Um,
her just her personality. She's not really a great person, but it's somebody you want to root for. Uh,
right,
it's kind of like Han Solo to the extreme, who's kind of
right.
selfish and greedy, but you still root for them because you know they have a good heart.
Yep,
Yeah, she's a wonderful character.
I
I
like her a lot.
definitely need to read more of her because I don't know what I've been missing all these years.
2023 was a year without movies, just like 2022
Again,
was a year without movies, just like
and
2020 was the year without movies.
yeah,
Oh,
they're coming. I
and
think.
so in 2023, we got Bad Batch season 2. We got Mandalorian season 3. We got Visions season 2, and we got Ahsoka. Oh.
A lot of TV.
That's a lot of TV.
Yeah,
I find it really interesting that we have two animated series and then two
live action.
live action
Yeah,
series. So it was a really interesting balance between the two. What was your favorite?
I don't think it's much of a surprise. It's the Bad Batch.
Uh-huh.
I talk about it all the time and mention it. That one's just kind of like Rise of the Red Blade. It surprised me, which I enjoyed the first season, but the second season took it to places that I wasn't expecting
Mhm.
and fleshed out a lot of wonderful characters, and we met some new fantastic characters. And it just was captivating from start to finish. And I don't know, I just feel like it was the best made series all year, and I felt more emotional at the end of season 2 than I did the other shows. I will shout out and say the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian season 3 were some of my favorite of the whole series. I
Mm.
wasn't a big fan of the first 6, but the last 2 were really great. So I can't say I put that one at top, but because Bad Batch to me, every episode was captivating and it looks incredible, looks beautiful, and I just love that family. They're wonderful.
I'm going to agree with you.
Hey, okay,
I'm going to agree with you. I thought about this really hard. Um, because I'm going to say that Visions for me was a very close second.
okay,
The first season of Visions, there were a few episodes that I enjoyed very much. I would say two or three of them. But in this season, they were most of them I adored.
yeah,
And I've seen the whole season twice, and I am very ready to see it again. But Bad Batch was another level of Star Wars.
yeah.
I loved getting to know the team a little more in depth, getting to know Tech more. The Crosshair episodes
Holy cow, yeah,
were just,
some of
I
the
was
best.
like it was another level. It was just another level. And so to me, is without a doubt Bad Batch. But Visions really spoke to me this time
Yeah.
in a way that season one only did with a few episodes. With this one, I was just really fascinated by it.
Can I ask what was your favorite episode of Visions this season?
I have two.
Okay.
The very first one from Spain about the artist
Yes. Okay.
with the dark and the light.
Yeah.
And I love the stop motion animation from Chile. I don't remember their names. About water.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a
My,
good one.
those two, I thought,
About the Indigenous sisters.
yes,
Yeah, that was a good one. That was very
yes,
good.
talking about non-sensitive and sensitive force uses.
Yeah, that was a very good
It
one.
was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. But there were others. I mean, I think there's one that I didn't like. All the other ones I adored.
Yeah.
And they were just so well done, just
Yeah.
so well done. And I really appreciated Lucasfilm opening it up to animation studios all around the world.
Yeah. That was really neat to see their
Because in the
vision.
first one they were all Japanese studios, but in this one we went all over the world,
Yeah.
went all over the world, and I thought that was an interesting call, and it worked. I
Yeah.
thought it worked really, 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 really well. So those are the ones: Bad Batch, Bad Batch, Bad Batch, and
Yeah.
season 3 is coming.
So excited for that.
Oh my god,
And then for Bad Batch, we mentioned the Crosshair episodes. I really love those, but I really love the mid season episodes with the clone conspiracy and the
yes,
Senate.
yes,
That was just like top
and
tier.
Senator
That's
Chuchi.
Chuchi. Yes, that was top tier Star Wars to me. That was stuff that is just incredible. I loved those episodes.
Those two episodes reminded me of the best of Clone Wars.
Yeah, it really did. Very Clone Wars
Of
themed.
sort of like the Mandalorian plot and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah,
And I thought they were just beautifully done. I agree with you. I agree with you.
yeah,
Those middle episodes were great. Were
really
great.
fantastic.
I wanted to add, before we go into like the future, I wanted to add something in 2023 that to me was really tremendous and wonderful. And it was doing Dragon Con with you.
Oh yeah, that was
That
fun.
was that was the highlight of my year Star Wars or no Star Wars, of like, it was one of the best moments of my life
Oh,
this year.
thank you.
Doing Thrawn in the heat and humidity of Atlanta, doing the panels. I
Those are
I
fun.
I I spent like months crying of emotion that I was going to be in a panel in Dragon Con. It
It's
was
a lot of
so
fun.
wonderful, and we met some really fun people, and it was really fun meeting Kyle in person, and meeting the couple from Star Wars Explained.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful. It was
Yeah.
so wonderful. I already bought tickets for next year.
Yes.
And so I wanted to add of the year in review, our being together for Dragon Con with Haley, because Haley
Yeah.
is super important.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed Dragon Con too. Getting to do panels was a lot of fun. There's so many great cosplays. Like you said, we met some really fun people, really nice people.
Yes.
Um, it was just a really good experience. I'm looking forward to it next year as well. I'm going as well. So yeah. Oh, Dragon Con was a blast. So looking forward to it next year. For me, and for Haley, I think I'll speak for both of us if I can. We really enjoyed our trip to C2E2 and staying with you, and we got to watch the Bad Batch finale together. That was a highlight.
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
first time we got to watch Star Wars together in the same room.
Uh-huh.
It was emotional, and we were like all caught off guard and blown away by that. And we just enjoyed C2E2 because we've been to Dragon Con and Chattanooga Con, and C22 was much different, and I really enjoyed it. And going to the Clone Wars panel at C2E2 was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Getting to see that was a lot of fun stories, and they were hilarious together on stage. Made a lot of good Star Wars memories this year. I think that'll be my big takeaway. And
Mm.
I mentioned at the top of the show, meeting Vanessa Marshall at Chattanooga Con, and also doing a Clone Wars panel there with a friend of mine, Chris. We had a lot blast with that. So that was a big year for cons. We had so many good con
Yeah.
experiences here.
Yeah. 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 No,
Don't know if
it
we'll
was
ever top
wonderful.
it, but I'm so thankful we got to do it this year.
I had forgotten that C22 was this year. Wow.
So no,
Because
it feels like forever ago.
wow, it just feels like it was so long ago.
Yeah,
Dragon Con feels very recent, but I forgot that you came up for C2E2,
yeah.
which was wonderful.
It was so fun. We
Which was
enjoy
wonderful.
Chicago a lot.
Nick and Haley had Chicago pizza, so that was
Oh, that's
great.
true. This was the year I had Chicago pizza, and it was the best pizza I've ever had in my life. I will
It
say
was so good. I
that.
love that
I
pizza.
don't know if I'll ever go back to regular pizza. So,
So should we talk about the future?
yeah, we can wrap it up here. Like we said, as you're listening, this will be 2024, and there's a lot of Star Wars to come. Some we know about. I'm sure there's going to be some surprises we don't know about yet. But I guess I'll ask you: what is there a book or comic or anything that you're looking forward to the most next year?
I am very ready for more Phase 3 High Republic.
Yes.
I have just loved the High Republic. It's one of my favorite new things in Star Wars. And I am really looking forward to that. I am actively pissed that Lucasfilm has not released dates for any of the shows.
No, not yet.
I'm just beside myself. Every time I think about it, my body temperature rises. If we get Bad Batch, I am looking forward to that. It sounds like we're not going to get Andor, and I am
That's a
dying to
disappointing.
get season 2 of Andor.
That's very disappointing.
And I'm pretty sure that we're not getting Mandalorian this year. I don't know what I want to look for because I don't know what we're going to get.
I think the latest reports from a lot of people is we're definitely going to get Acolyte, Bad Batch season 3. I think another season of Tales of the
Those
Jedi,
of the Jedi
and then Skeleton Crew. I
and
think is
Skeleton Crew.
those are
Yeah.
the four we know that are coming this year. I haven't heard anything about season 3 of Visions.
No, me
Uh,
neither.
I would
And
hope
they
that comes.
they
They
didn't
usually
announce anything at Celebration in London about
no.
that. So I
I
don't
hope
know
we get
what's
it
going with that.
in the future at least, if not this
Yeah.
year. Hopefully in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting things. I'm excited because there's a lot of things that I don't know what to expect from. I
I
think,
don't. Yes, I mean the Acolyte for me. I'm really looking forward to it because it's set in the High Republic. But
yeah,
I know precious little about it.
yeah.
I don't
Same
know.
with
I don't know
Skeleton
what to
Crew.
think. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know anything about it. Which the last couple of years, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, those shows I kind of had an idea of what we're going to see or what's going to happen a little bit. So not that I wasn't excited for them, but This year it's different because we're gonna probably be introduced to a ton of new characters that we have no idea about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that excites me the most about Star
Yeah.
Wars. Another thing, I'll go back to publishing real quick is
Oh yeah.
we're getting a lot of Mace Windu this year. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh yes.
It's
And
gonna
I'm
be
excited about that.
it's gonna be the year of Mace Windu, I guess. 2024 is.
What else besides the comics?
Well, he's getting his own comic miniseries, which I'm very excited about.
Right.
He's going to be featured in um, a John Jackson Miller book about the Jedi Council right
That's
before,
right.
I think it's right before episode one. He's
Yes.
going to be a major character in that. And then he's getting his own solo novel later this year where
Oh,
I can't remember the name. I want to say it's like The Glass Abyss or something. And
you know more than I do.
it's about, I think it's something, the setup is basically he's going on a mission of Qui-Gon's that Qui-Gon never got to finish, and this is after Qui-Gon passed away. So shortly after episode one, he's going to complete this mission for Qui-Gon. It was one of the last
Okay.
things he had requested. So I'm interested. I'm not. I mean, 25 years since Phantom Menace this year, so I'm assuming
Uh-huh.
that's why they're
Uh-huh.
leaning heavily into the prequel era.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
excited for all that stuff, especially the comic series, because I think this is going to be the first time that he's written by a African American writer. So
Okay.
I'm curious to see how that comes.
Okay. Cool.
I just think it'd be cool.
I discovered last week that my local movie palace is going to be showing the original trilogy on the big screen
Oh,
all day Saturdays.
oh wow. Okay, that's awesome.
So Saturday, February 3rd, if you live in the Chicago area, the Tivoli Theater in Downers Grove is going to be showing New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
That's awesome.
And so I've already canceled my fitness classes that day. Somebody's subbing my classes, and I'm just
You're
going
gonna
to be
go.
at the theater
That's awesome.
for a little over 6 hours, and just I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking
Uh,
forward to that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It made me think of we do plan on going to Dragon Con, but there's another Star Wars thing that me and Haley are doing this year is January 13th. We're going to the Knoxville Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to watch a New Hope in concert, which
That's
I'm very,
fun.
very excited about. This year I went to see Force Awakens in concert down in Atlanta, and that was beautiful. So I'm very excited to see a New Hope. And then my goal is to see all the movies in concert one day. So what an experience! That's a great experience watching a movie that way.
That's great. I saw Return of the Jedi,
Oh, that's
not this
awesome.
summer, but the summer before. And this summer they did it again. The Chicago Symphony did it again, but I was in Europe when they did Force Awakens. I really wanted to see Empire because Empire, the soundtrack of that movie is just
One of the best. That's one of the best ever.
But I've only seen Return of the Jedi. That's the only one that I've seen. So
That's cool. A lot of stuff.
there is, but I want more. I want movies. I'd like to go to the movie theater and see a Star Wars movie.
Well, maybe we'll get some big
They're
updates.
coming. They're coming. We just not in 2024. Not in.
Maybe some of them might start filming this year though, so that's a
I'm
good thing.
pretty sure they will.
Yeah.
I think the Ray movie will start filming.
So I'm excited for that.
Because that's supposed to come out in 2025, and it takes a while to put a film together.
Oh yeah. A lot of stuff
All
to
right.
look forward to.
Yes. Oh no. There's
And-
more Star Wars.
Yeah. Well,
There's always more Star Wars.
always more Star Wars. We're blessed. We are blessed, as the kids say.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, audience. I hope
Happy
people
New Year.
enjoyed my ugly Darth Vader sweater.
Happy New Year,
Happy New Year to everybody. May the force be with you.
I guess.